The companions had been adventuring for many a year. They had seen many trials, many powerful foes, but standing there, Connie the cleric knew that the demon lord before them represented the most powerful enemy they had ever seen. The elf clutched at her holy symbol of Coralon, and Connie the cleric closed her eyes, fished out a ruby, and began to recite the incantation, calling upon Coralon, begging him to send one of his most powerful agents, with whom she had met in the past, naming the angel by name. When she released her hand, the ruby disappeared, and a gate of energy opened, and a shimmering being with luminous eyes and wings like the sun stepped through. "What is thy bidding, Connie?" it said. And then it turned its eyes towards the demon lord and said, "Ah, we get to have a bit of fun today. Let's have at it." This, friends, is an example of how your cleric might use the gate spell. Welcome to Divine Thursday. I am DM Gallibond. This is Divine Thursday for September 24th, 2020. And the spell we are talking about today is Gate. Alright, well, let's go ahead and take a look at this spell and then take a look at how it has changed over the editions. Now, Gate is a very powerful spell. It's a 9th level spell. It's the most powerful circle of spells currently in the 5th edition game. And pretty much all of the mortal level adventures for the various editions of D&D. 9th level is the highest level of spells. You will find a few supplements throughout the editions that go into Immortals, and then they have circles of spells above 9th, but it's extremely rare to ever find that. So the gate is just a portal that opens, and in 9th edition you have to name a specific being. And if that being is on another plane, this gate will open and pull them through. Now, deities and planar rulers can prevent portals created by the spell from opening in their presence or anywhere within their domains. So as a cleric, you probably want to butter up your deity with, a lot of beseeching them and their aid. Now, you cannot gate the deity themselves in, but you could gate in a, like if it's a good deity, you could gate in something like an angel. If it's an evil deity, you might gate in some kind of fiend or demon or devil or something like that, depending on the alignment. Now, the other important thing is that the gate doesn't give you any control over the being that you summon. So you have to use a little measure of common sense here when you're doing that. If you name a creature, like in this case, we said Connie the cleric, she was looking for an angel of Coralon because her party was facing a demon lord. Well, yeah, an angel probably would lick their lips to get a chance to fight a demon lord. But you wouldn't want to bring in something for a purpose that would go against its nature. Like you wouldn't want to bring an angel just to like chastise a chastise a church clergy member for something. That would just be kind of silly. Because the being that you gate in is under the DM's control, and the DM can decide what, how that creature's going to react. So now, if you're playing in my game, it's like if you waste my time gating in something for either a frivolous purpose or a purpose that kind of goes against its nature, you're not going to get the desired result because you don't have any control. At best, if all you've done is annoy it, it's probably just going to leave, and maybe it's going to, if you're a cleric, maybe it's going to tell your god, really, did we really give that one divine, the ability to call on you? Um, Maybe think about giving them a week to think about it, and maybe make some better choices in the future. Something like that. And wizards, of course, wizards and sorcerers also have access to this spell. So it's not just a divine spell in 5th edition. And interestingly enough, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the game, it was not a divine spell at all. It started as a spell, a 9th level spell for magic users. And the range was 30 feet. Um, and it would open a portal to another plane that was between 1 or between 10 and 100 turns. So each turn is this is wrong here because 1d10 times 10, the least that's going to be is 10. A turn is 10 minutes, so 100 minutes, so an hour and 40 minutes, up to 1,000 minutes, which is, yeah, that's a long time. That's 10 hours would be 600 minutes. So what's 400 minutes? 400 minutes is another 6 hours and 40 minutes, right? Yeah, 6 hours and 40 minutes. So 10 and 6, 16 hours and 40 minutes. That's a long time for that portal to be open. So, and in the original game, you had to name one target: the ethereal plane, the astral plane, or one of the 4 elemental planes, or an outer plane. And you also needed to name a resident of that plane, usually that an immortal ruler of the plane. Spell opens a direct connection to the other plane of existence. Gate to an outer plane remains open for only 1 turn. Any other gate remains open for between 10 and 100 turns. 10% chance per turn that some other plane or creature will wander through the gate while it's open. So this is where gates in older editions were really kind of chancy. In 5th edition, it only stays open for a minute. Here it just sits there wide open, and anything that walks by can wander through. It creates a vortex and a wormhole, and a wish may be used to make them permanent. Ooh. Planes, vortices, and wormholes are described in 18. Okay, fine. Contact with an outer plane is dangerous. The magic user must know and speak the name of the immortal he wishes to contact. The immortal he calls will probably arrive in 1d6 rounds, but there's a 5% chance that some other being from the outer planes will respond. When a being arrives, it immediately looks for the spellcaster. And if the caster does not have an excellent reason for opening the gate, the being will probably destroy the caster. Even if the caster provides an excellent reason, the being may merely leave immediately, showing no interest. And the reverse of the spell, close gate, will close a gate created by the normal form of the spell. Also be used to close a permanent gate to a nearby plane. But the spell cannot affect an immortal. It cannot, for instance, make him leave if he chooses to stay. All right, so a little bit different in its original incantation. Still opens the gate, but there's a lot more chance for chaos. by using the gate spell in original D&D. If we go to first edition, the gate spell was a cleric and a magic user spell. It was a 7th level cleric spell because clerics did not get 9th level spells until 3rd edition of D&D. They only had 1st through 7th level spells. So it has 2 effects. It causes ultra-dimensional connection between the plane of existence the cleric is on and that plane on which dwells a specific being of great power. The result enabling the being to merely step through the gate or portal from its plane to that of the cleric. Second, the utterance of the spell attracts the attention of the dweller on the other plane when casting it must name the demon, devil, demigod, god, or similar being wishes he or she desires to make use of the gate and come to the cleric's aid. There's 100% certainty that something will step through the gate. The actions of the beings which come through depend on many factors, including the alignment of cleric, nature of those in company with him or her, and who or what opposes or threatens the cleric. DM will have a sure method of dealing with the variables of the situation. Being gated in will either return immediately or remain to take action. So that's AD&D. Now, 2nd edition. 30-yard spell, casting time 5. And once again, it causes these other things. There's a 100% chance. DM will decide the exact nature or the exact result of the spell based on the creature called, desires the caster needs of the moment. Being gated in either returns immediately or remains to take action. Now there's an important caveat in 2nd edition. Casting this spell ages the priest 5 years. And yes, it does the same thing for wizards. It ages the caster by 5 years. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. In other words, don't just go casting gate every day willy-nilly, or else you won't live very long. Because even if you're a dwarf or an elf, you burn up 5 years at a time. You're gonna quickly run out of years there. All right, gate, conjuration, cleric, 9th level, sorcerer, wizard, 9th level. Okay, casting a gate has 2 effects. It creates a blah, 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 blah. Second, you may again call a particular individual or kind of being through the gate. Okay, so now this is an individual or a kind of being. Now, all the other editions, you have to know specifically who you're looking for. Gate is a circular hoop or disc from 5 to 20 feet in diameter. Caster choice, oriented in the direction you desire when it comes into existence. Typically vertical and facing you. It's a 2-dimensional window looking at the plane you specified, and anyone or anything that moves through it is shunted instantly to the other side. Gate has front and back. Creatures moving through the gate from the front are transported to the other plane. Creatures moving from the back are not. Oh. So, planar travel is a mode of planar travel. A gate spell functions much like a plane shift spell, except that the gate opens precisely at the point you desire. Deities and other beings who rule planar realm can prevent the gate from opening in their presence, or personal dimensions if they so desire. Travelers need not join hands with you. Anyone who chooses to step through the portal is transported. A gate cannot be opened in another plane, another point on the same plane. The spell works only for interplanar travel. You position a gate in a hallway in order to absorb any attack or force coming at you by shunting it to another plane. Whether the denizens of that plane appreciate this tactic is another matter. Okay, you may hold the gate open for only a brief time, no more than 1 round per caster level, and you must concentrate while doing so. Second effect is to call an extraplanar creature to your aid. Naming a particular kind of being. Okay, so it's a kind of being, and the other ones you have to name a specific being. Use this spell, remains open just long enough to transport the called creatures. If you choose to call a kind of creature instead of an individual, for instance, bearded devil or Gallibond, you call either a single creature or several creatures. You can call and control several creatures. Okay, now this one gives you the ability to call and control several creatures, as long as their total hit dice does not exceed your caster level. And in the case of a single creature, you can control it if its hit dice do not exceed twice your caster level. Okay, now, deities and unique beings cannot be controlled in the event. Alright. Uncontrolled being acts as it pleases, make the calling of such creatures rather dangerous. Uncontrolled being may return to its home plane at any time. You can command a controlled creature to perform services, immediate tasks, or contractual for services. So fighting for you is an immediate task. And if you choose to exact a longer or more involved form of service, you must offer a fair trade in return for that service. Service exacted must be reasonable with respect to the promised favor or reward. And then immediately upon completion of the service, the being is transported to the vicinity, and you must then and there turn over the promised reward. After this is done, the creature is instantly freed to return to its own plane. Now, failure to fulfill the promise to the letter results in your being subject to service by the creator, by the creature, or by its liege and master at the very least. At worst, the creature and its kin may attack you. Use a calling spell such as Gate to call an air, chaotic, earth, evil, fire, good, lawful, or water creature. It becomes a spell of that type. Okay. For example, Gate is a chaotic and evil spell when you cast it to call a demon. Okay, so that's for the way they classified magic in 3rd edition. Is certain spells had certain alignments depending on their use, and certain detection things would detect magic of a certain alignment. All right. Well, this has been our discussion of the Gate spell. If you like everything that we're doing here on the channel, please subscribe, like the video, click the post notification bell, share the video. In the description, you'll find all of the social media platforms I'm on and how you can follow me on those social media platforms, as well as watching the actual play live streams that I do every week. This has been DM Gallibond. This has been Divine Thursday. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Good night, everybody.